let's go behind the scenes of the recording of the In the Hangar series on this Taking Off podcast. Hello and welcome to the Taking Off podcast. I'm Dan Milliken.
And I'm Christy Schaefer. Good morning.
Good morning. It's actually very early in the morning for us. I don't think we've ever recorded a podcast at 4:30 in the morning.
I just wanted on record that I am not naturally a morning person.
All right.
So.
It's duly noted, and it's not 4:30. It's actually 7:30 a.m. now, but we got here probably an hour and a half ago dealing with a whole bunch of other issues. So we're going to talk about In the Hangar. We've got the new In the Hangar coming up on March 7th and 8th. We're recording a batch. The way I approach it is I record a bunch of In the Hangars and then release them once a week over months.
Yeah.
So that's been the strategy, and we're going to keep doing that. But our next studio taping in Fort Worth is March 7th and 8th. We'd love to have studio audience. We've had people come from far away to just sit in the audience and watch. So,
and it's a great time. It's so fun because during our breaks in between taping episodes and whatnot, we get to interact with those fans, and it's a blast.
Yeah, and I don't have yet. We just announced March 7th and 8th. Usually, I let it slip a little bit. We sometimes do January, sometimes do February. I think last year we did the very end of February or the beginning of March. So I've slipped a little bit later, mainly because I've been super busy and just haven't been able to sit down and figure the logistics out. It's a logistic nightmare setting up a shoot like this.
It is, and yeah, you have been busy. You've been doing some training over there.
Yes, so I have, and I'm going to be releasing videos on this. But yes, I've been helicopter training, so I've gone over to the dark side. And yes,
you've just gone over to the whirly side.
The whirly side. I will say helicopters are incredibly fun to fly. I wouldn't want to do them in long cross countries, but flying them is a lot of fun.
It sounds...
You'll have to take my word for it because I know how you are with helicopters.
I was supposed to go do a discovery flight in one, but we just couldn't match up our schedules because my work schedule's been pretty busy too.
Well, and we might be able to do that soon. So, yeah. So, but let's get back to In the Hangar. All right, Christy, this is going to be season 9. We've done 9 batches of studio In the Hangars. That doesn't include all the location In the Hangars that we've done at AirVenture. And we're coming up on 1,000 videos uploaded. Actually, this video might be the 1,000th. We're real close. 1,000th video uploaded to the channel.
I just cannot comprehend.
Yeah, that's a lot of videos. And these are all, for the most part, long form. It's not uploading a bunch of shorts every day. It's produced long videos. So,
well, it's crazy because I go back and think about some of our In the Hangar episodes, and it's a blur. Sometimes I'll go back and, when you re-release them or you'll upload them to the podcast or whatever, and I'm like, I don't even remember doing that. Like, I don't remember this conversation. And the reason is because, like you said, we just condense all of our tapings so close together. Everything's just so jam-packed. It's back to back to back to back. And so when we do them now, I'm just kind of on autopilot. There's no script for them. So if anybody's wondering, there is no script, no rehearsal. It's very raw. We get out there very... just kind of like this, where we might have some bullet points where these are the things that we want to discuss. But outside of that, yeah. So it's like trying to remember a conversation you had with this person 4 years ago.
Yeah. Going behind, pulling the veil back and going behind the scenes, there's pluses and minuses to this approach. So we've gotten to the point where we're shooting 32 episodes over a 3-day period. And I'm only doing 2 days this time.
I'm tired already.
Yeah. So we'll shoot, 14, 15 episodes a day. And that is just a lot. Now, so the good points and bad points to this. So on the positive side, we get a lot of content and we get it and we can, it can look good. Production value will be high and everything else because we by shooting in a batch, you save money and being able to have a jib and have a professional crew and professional audio guy and everything else there. That's an advantage. If we were doing this like we were filming in the hangar once a week, and
I couldn't do that.
then you have to hire a crew once a week. You have to hire, it's almost undoable. So that's on the positive side. We get a lot of good content that we can then spread out. On the minus side, I will give what kind of you were pointing to is, when we sit down in a day and we're going to do 15 interviews, I've got to go in and research 15 things and come up with the questions, because I do come in with a list of questions generally, and with the freedom that we can, go down rabbit trails or anything else. But researching those takes a lot of time, and then when you're in the moment, you're having to just mentally work hard to remember questions, remember this, do that, and then boom, you're done, and it's on to the next one. So for those that do, once a week tapings, it's a lot easier, and you can go a lot deeper on some things, because there'll be times where I was like, oh, I was going to talk about this or that, and in the heat of the moment, just don't remember it.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the very beginning. The very first time we did this, I want to say it was August of 2018.
August or September 2018.
I know it was August.
Was it?
So,
Then it was the very end of August, because it was right after I think it was right after I got my commercial single and right before I got my multi-commercial.
yeah, I'm pretty sure, because I remember you'd gotten your commercial. So on that first one ever, we showed up at the studio, and at that point, the channel isn't making any money whatsoever. So I don't feel like I can use S-Film's resources and, pay a lot of things. So it was almost all 100% volunteer, including the studio at the time. So for this one day. And in the one day, I think we did 15 or 16. Mm-hmm. And, and my goal right then was to alternate every other week. So I do one video a week release schedule, and we do an in the hangar, then the following week a flying video, because the flying videos took a lot more work to edit. Mm-hmm. And by just knocking out all these in the hangars, we film them in what we call a live to tape environment. And what that means is that you have somebody switching, hitting buttons, going camera 1, camera 2, back to 1, going to camera 3. And you do that as you record, so that you really don't have to do that much editing. The only thing I do is add B-roll of whatever we're talking about. And also we tried one time to be able to do it live to tape with the opening and everything else, and that was a train wreck. So I drop in the opening and the closing in editing as well.
It's probably better that way.
Yeah. So that first time, what were your impressions walking into the studio?
Well, it's funny because you and I had a lot of conversations leading up to it, but there was no you had not brought me into the studio yet to show me, hey,
Right.
This is what it'll look like. So my first time in the studio was when we were going to record. And I walked in and I was like, oh, wow. Okay, this is a way bigger production than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be a couple GoPros or something.
Right.
And it was just an experiment. Like, this was supposed to just be a fun temporary thing, I think, in my brain that we did. Like, okay, yeah, we'll do this. It'll be fun. And here we are, 9 seasons later. And all these years, it blows my mind. But yeah, that when I first got up there, you were like, just be yourself. And I was just like, I have no clue what I'm doing.
Right.
I was very I didn't know how I was supposed to be, or I remember being very robotic and trying to be more scriptish and,
like a reporter. Yeah.
basically. Yeah. Cause I didn't know what else to do. I'd never all of this is out of my wheelhouse.
It was at the time, but you have learned and grown significantly as a on-camera talent. This is my business. I've been in it for over 30 years. I work with actors all the time. and you've come a long way.
Well, thank you. I hope so. I mean, sometimes I look back at my videos and I'm like, oh, I should have said this differently, or maybe I should have asked the question a different way. So
Oh, even the most seasoned person does that.
I was going to say, but like we said, it's almost podcast-ish, where you don't stop and then, okay, let me reread that line again, because there are no lines. So you're just having a conversation with people, and I'm sitting there as they're talking, trying to think of other questions or other things. So it can be very challenging, but it's challenging in a good way. So I really appreciate the kind words.
Well, certainly. That first taping, that first day, one day of taping, we were able to, I kind of created a set on the fly. There was, the whole idea for in the hangar, people go, what's not in a hangar? No. You have so much noise, airplanes taxiing by. And
I remember we talked about it. Like, you actually kind of looked into it, but it was like the sound quality was not going to be good.
Well, it's not that I looked into it. I just knew. As a video production guy, TV and film is what I do for my day job. And I never even seriously considered doing this in a hangar. It was just going to be way too loud.
I remember, this
lighting
conversation
was going to be a nightmare. You'd have to bring in so much lighting. The sound would be horrible, echoey. There's some things you can do, but that's just a horrible environment.
I remember, the conversation was 7 years ago, of course, but I do remember having that conversation with you and you telling me the reasons why. And I must have misunderstood. I thought you had actually gone out and
no, I just
attempted. Knew. Okay. Fair enough. I learned today, all these years later.
Well, yeah, when you're 30 years doing a job day in and day out, you can walk into a building and go, okay, that's too echoey.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's why we went to a studio, and also I'm here at a studio, and that was kind of the one thing is with my day job being a video production, TV production company. That's the thing that I could kind of separate the channel from any of the others is more, kind of a higher production value talk show for aviation. So that was kind of my thoughts.
Yeah. And, going back to those first, couple seasons very early in the hangar, there's a huge difference in the production quality. It's gotten better over time. Yeah.
I've actually, it's funny, the cameras that we're using for this podcast, which to me, video on a podcast is a throwaway. It's about just the conversation, so I don't spend any time on the cameras. I'm actually using the cameras that we used that very first time.
Okay.
And after that very first time, we actually upgraded to different higher quality cameras. So it's just a little bit different now. And we keep improving the lighting. We keep improving. Like the last couple of seasons, we've brought in Ron Gonzalez and his jib and getting these really cool jib shots.
Yes.
That just we've been at better sound after a while and all this kind of stuff. I mean, in the very first season, those 15, 16 shows, I actually used lav mics.
I remember that.
And there were some cancellation problems and some other issues. And after that, we went to boom mics overhead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and that's,
I remember having to get mic'd up and having to thread it up my shirt.
Yeah.
That was fun days.
Well,
fun times.
And then by season 3 or 4, I was able to bring in a sound guy, a dedicated sound guy, which is really critical, especially at that time there were times we had 6 people on the set. There's one time with all the other aviation YouTubers that we had like 8 or 9.
Probably one of my favorite episodes to this day was that episode. That was fun.
That would have been season 2 or 3. So
I think it was like 3.
Yeah, that sounds
maybe
about
4.
right.
I don't know.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun and a nightmare for the sound person at that time. But it's all a learning experience. The whole reason why I even started the channel was to learn how to do a channel, how to do YouTube. So it continues to this day of being a learning experience.
Yeah.
All right. So your favorite moments. Okay. So the aviation YouTuber episode, but what else?
That was good. Some of my favorite moments are probably our least viewed, which are bringing on some of those really interesting stories. I liked talking to people like the Challenger folks.
I was
and
going to say
stuff.
Challenger. That was eye opening to what they're doing, and just was amazing. And it was sad to me that hardly anybody watched the video.
Yeah, exactly. But other ones actually did really well. Like we had some of the emergencies we talked about. Dan Bass, of course, that was
Yeah.
really interesting. Those are just really interesting. Like those personal people stories. Like I love the story. So
Right.
those are going to be my favorite moments within the hangar.
Yeah, for me, Cameron Morrison and his story of the off-airport landing with his family, his wife
Oh yeah,
and
yep,
baby.
yep. Mhm.
in
That
the-
was early
in
on.
the
That was like
Comanche.
season 2, right?
It was season 2 or 3. I remember. Yeah, it was early on. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it's season 2 or 3.
Yeah. But again, a very a human story, like a personal story. Those are very interesting.
Yeah, they are, and can be riveting. And I remember doing that one. That one was, I was trying to give ourselves breaks. So I would have you host the show while I take a break, and then I'd host the show while you take a break, and try to work that into the day of shooting. And so it just worked out with Cameron that it was just me. You were taking a break,
Right.
and if that was season 2, you had a cold.
I remember. Yep.
And so I was trying
yeah.
to give you time out. It may have been season 2
Yeah,
because of that.
I
That's
think
what
it was. Yeah, because I was like, I remember I had that really bad cough.
Yeah.
I don't get really, really sick that often, but I think I had gotten like bronchitis and I was
Yeah.
on the other end of
Because
it.
I don't even think you were in the studio when we recorded that one.
Yeah, I don't think I was.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Because I think you were sick, and
Yeah.
and you may have been in the dressing room laying down or something. But
But I was here. Dedication.
dedication. I do remember the studio just going pin quiet when
Yeah.
he was telling his story. So, going back to the season 1 and that first set of one thing I remember, it was the very first time I met Brian Turner.
Oh my gosh.
I'd communicated with him over YouTube and thought, okay, he's got this little comedy channel. I mean, he at the time, so we had 600 subscribers maybe 700 when we recorded our first batch
Barely.
of
Maybe
In the
even
Hangars.
500. It was not.
No, it was more than 500, but it was less than 1,000.
Yeah.
But Brian was like triple my size at like 1,500 or 1,800 subscribers.
We all start somewhere. So
We all start somewhere, and Brian's still like at 1,800 subscribers. No, I'm just kidding. But it was fun meeting him, and that's one of the things I remember. The other one from the first season was Josh Flowers on a.
Yes.
So here we are. I reached out to YouTuber Brian Turner, who has 1,800 subscribers, and he's willing to come on. Josh had just passed 100,000.
yeah.
And I reached out to him, and he replied, and he was willing to come up, and
Yeah.
that was amazing that he came up on this 700 subscriber channel to do that.
Yeah. He's a good salt of the earth person though. Very down to earth.
So, and he's been a regular on ever since, as well as Brian. The other thing that I've really, really enjoyed, you touched on it at the very beginning, is favorite moments is meeting the people, the fans that come to watch.
That's so fun. And just learning where they come from and why they came and what their aviation, experience is. And some of them aren't even pilots. They're just enthusiasts and they just love this stuff. And so, yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah, I've gotten to know a lot of people. It's amazing what a small community, family feeling that the aviation community is. We were talking earlier, in aviation, it's a high risk environment, and I think that because we all share that high risk, it brings a tight bond. Similar to, I think, motorcycles.
Yeah.
The motorcycle community is like that, I hear.
Yeah, some of those individuals, speaking of high risk, they came and went skydiving with us for our 100,000 subscribers.
Right.
So that was really cool. That was probably, I'm not going to say that the skydiving was my favorite moment, but the fans showing up and like coming together with us. There was one that showed up. He was just like, hey, I'm just going to be here and support you guys. And in the end, he was like, you know what, sign me up. And he went and skydived. So that was amazing. That was incredible.
Well, and one of our sponsors, this something that comes up is, the support that people have given us in the channel and has been amazing. And while shooting, I don't know, season 4, something like that, while shooting, I remember coming up and down, studios downstairs, our suite of offices here for S Films is upstairs. I was grabbing something up here and I get a text from somebody that's in the audience saying, hey, I'd really like to support you. And that ended up being Marshall Protective Services and Nick Olson.
Yes. And Nick has become a very good friend of ours.
Yes. And, that kind of relationship building is what is really special about this whole channel and in the hangar in particular.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're looking forward to March 7th and 8th, only 2 days this time. And it's going to be here in Fort Worth. I'll post on YouTube, the community section. I'll post the details. I'll post the details on the Taking Off Facebook page, which is Taking Off YouTube, I think, if you search that for Facebook. And I'll put all the details out there so that people can come. You're welcome to come. Nearest airport, if you're flying in, it's going to be Fort Worth Meacham, which is Foxtrot Tango Whiskey, or as Matt Wells says, for the win. So,
of course,
there's plenty of hotels around if you want to stay. It's a great time. And yeah.
Yeah, we would like to meet you guys. So,
okay, well, we're looking forward to this. In addition, just looking ahead, just kind of let you guys know, I'll be at Sun and Fun. I'll be shooting at the Flying Eyes booth, our series I call One-on-One. And different than in the hangar, it's a little bit more intimate, and I try to go a little bit deeper and maybe even slightly edgier, maybe controversial, maybe not. But that's our One-on-One series, which we've started and have done quite a few videos already on that. I'll be shooting it at Sun and Fun, so that's the very first week of April. Would love to say hi to you, so come by, watch your taping, say hi. Would love to meet you. That is one of our favorite things to do. Another thing I will announce here, I haven't made it official yet because I'm not doing a hard launch. I am creating a second channel, and the channel is going to be called In the Hangar. And so we're going to have Taking Off. We're going to have In the Hangar. Taking Off is going to be our news and investigations because the news has found a really good following, but it's a different following than our hardcore pilots, student pilots, aviation enthusiasts that are more into the nuts and bolts of, what are your compressions on your cylinder. So I'm going to move all of that to the In the Hangar channel. So so this is a preview. So I'm going to be posting that, and you can go subscribe to the new In the Hangar. And when we record all the In the Hangars, it'll go there. This podcast will move over to there. So, but I've created the channel. I just haven't put anything there yet. And so we'll do a big launch soon.
Okay.
But probably right before the In the Hangar taping is when I'm thinking of doing it. So in about another month.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate it. You can leave comments. Also, I want to thank our sponsors like Marshall Protective Services, mpsprotects.com. Nick is an awesome individual. 67 Designs, Gavin and his team make the best mounts for your cameras and cell phones to put on your car, your boat, your plane. Check them out at 67d.com. ClemensInsurance.net. I called Jerry when I moved over to him for real. It saved me over $1,000 in my insurance policy. So check out ClemensInsurance.net. ZVision, xevision.com. They are the brightest landing and taxi lights out there. I have them on Lola, my 210, and first time I had them, I was landing during the day at Hicks, and somebody called out, wow, those lights are really bright. So yes, they work. They are great. And of course, Flying Eyes, the best glasses for your helmets or headsets. They slide right in. Not many can do this, and they feel great. After a long time of cross country, that pressing, you don't have the big frames that hurt after a while. So Flying Eyes, optics.com, use our discount code, Taking Off all caps. One word for 10% off. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on the Taking Off Podcast.